What is up, guys? Pink49 here. We are back on the Desolation map. And is it just me, or were Mondays feeling kinda empty? I thought so. Did you guys think so? I had to do it, guys. I couldn't stay away, okay? What I'm doing here today is we're bringing back Create a Question of the Week, my favorite series on this channel, and I had to bring it back, okay? Desolation, the series, is not back, but Create a Question of the Week is back, baby. And I'm going to do this every single Monday. It's going to be like a separate thing. It's not part of, the Desolation series anymore. We're still going to be working on Desolation. In fact, today we're going to be working on the ghetto. I know I've been talking about the ghetto for so long. Ghetto this, ghetto that. But I'm still not done with it. Today I'm going to be filling up cars with junk. Well, not just junk. There's going to be some benefits to the cars. And it's just eye candy. Just running in the background while we talk about what we going to talk about. And yes, today we have a great question. So if you're excited to have Create a Question of the Week back, you guys need to support this series, okay? You guys need to show me that you want to see more by liking the video. You got to show me that you want to see more by asking questions in the comment section below, by telling people about it, by sharing it on social media, by subscribing if you haven't already. And that just lets me know that this is worthwhile, that I'm doing this for a reason. And it doesn't take much, right? Just a little bit of interaction is all it takes. Just to click the like button. I mean, if you watch the whole thing, isn't that worth a click? I would think so. That means that you were engaged, right? That means you, even if you don't agree with what I'm saying, it means that it was at least interesting, and I think it deserves a like. I'm not begging for likes, but if you want to see this series continue, guys, I'm going to let you know right now there's got to be some interaction, okay? Alright, so, as you guys, it's a new series, I guess, but it's an old favorite. You guys know the drill by now. This is the part of the series where I answer a question provided by you, the community. One of the questions that you put in the comment section below, and no question is off limits. No topic is too far out of bounds. Well, maybe there are some, but I get to choose, so, I'm not going to choose an out of bound topic. Anyway, so put your comments in the comment section below. Put your questions down there. Give me some questions for next week so that we can keep this ball rolling. All right, thank you, and I appreciate that. This week's comment comes to us through Twitter. You can ask me through Twitter, although I would prefer if you did it in the comment section. It comes to us from Jordan at DJ Rock Milo, and he asks, "What made you start meditating and change your lifestyle, like going vegan?" I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing about this, but this is a unique question, and I'm not going to really talk about that. I'm going to talk about what led up to it. So, if you're tired of hearing about that sort of thing, don't worry. That's not what I'm going to talk about today. Today, I'm going to get personal, guys. I'm going to share some personal things about myself that I don't think I've shared before, really. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what comes out. We got 15 minutes to talk about it, so let's talk about it. So, let me start this answer by saying it happened overnight. No, faster than overnight, like a light switch that happened. 1 minute I'm just sitting there, my old self. The next minute I have had an epiphany, and that changed my life forever. Just like that, like flipping a light switch. It was unbelievable. I still remember the date. I celebrate that date because it was the biggest event in my life. It's more important to me than my birthday, I think, because it was the day I woke up. I woke up from slumber. And so it happened overnight, but when I reflect on it, when I look back at it, my entire life was leading up to that point. It wasn't an overnight thing. The realization occurred to me like at the flip of a switch, but the ability for me to get to that point was because of my life experiences up until that point. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what led me up to that point and how it happened. So, I lived a pretty normal childhood. Great parents, very supportive. They didn't provide us with a lot of like toys and stuff, really. Instead, my parents provided me with experiences. As a child, I got to travel a lot, right? I didn't have like the newest game console, and I didn't have like new bikes and stuff like that. Although I had them from time to time, my parents chose to spend their money on trips. And for that, I'm eternally grateful because I got to experience so many unique things. I mean, by the time I was like 20, I'd been to every single continent in the world except for Africa and Antarctica. Yeah, that's how much I got to travel. And, some of those places, I've been to England 4 times. I've been to South America like 4 or 5 times. Been to Australia several times. So, I've been to a lot of places. And it's not just like oh, let's go to this place and spend our time at the hotel. It was sometimes some trips were like that, but a lot of the trips were like, okay, we're gonna go into this country, we're gonna experience the culture, we're gonna take it all in, and that really opens your eyes, especially when you go to India as a 14-year-old kid, and you see the most like abject poverty you've ever seen in your entire life. Some people owning nothing more than a rag, a dirty one at that, right? It's eye-opening, and it really puts your life into perspective, especially coming from the US. We are so just lost. Like, we are out of touch with the rest of the world. We don't understand what's going on outside of our borders in the United States. Same to some extent to Britain, but you've got more neighbors, so you have more of an idea of what's going on in England and stuff like that. But Americans are kind of disconnected from the rest of the world, and I was fortunate enough to experience a lot of it. So that helped me to widen my perspective and really understand kind of how the world works in a better way than most of my peers. The people around me were, they just they didn't have any conception of what things were like in different countries, and even at like a very young age I did, and so that helped me a lot. So I went through high school. I didn't really try. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I'm really smart. Okay, and so I didn't really try in high school. And I had a great time. I was more concerned with enjoying myself, and that's what I did rather than studying. And I just did what I had to do to get by, and I got by. And it was a great experience for me. A lot of people complain about high school. I loved it. It's because I didn't feel the pressure, right? It's because I was smart enough to just cruise. So if I could go back again, I would do the exact same thing. I would cruise. And coming out of high school, I went to college, and I went to college full time for 1 year, and then I started going part time. And I ended up going to college part time while working. I'd work and go to college for 7 years, and that might seem like a long time, and it is a long time to go to college. But it was part time, and I wasn't totally like 100% focused on college. I was making money and going to college at the same time. So, but eventually, I realized that this college thing was a joke, an absolute joke. Yeah, and a lot of it had to do with the university that I went to, but it started to become more and more clear to me that they were teaching me lies, and it wasn't about learning. It was about jumping through hoops. In college, they were preparing me to learn how to jump through hoops. So by that, I mean, okay, they have this, you pay your tuition, you pay your tuition, but you don't get the classes you wanted. It was a struggle for me to get classes. Like, I couldn't get the classes I wanted. They would charge you for parking. It was like $300 a semester just to park, and then the parking was so compacted that you had to park off campus and take a bus anyway. And then they would charge you $80 for a book, and it would be like 4 books per class. And then the professor wouldn't even use the books. They'd use one of the 4 books. And then you go back to sell the books at the end of the semester, and they give you $4. So you spent $250 per class for books, and you get $4 back, and half the books weren't even used. It was so clear that the university was a money-making scheme. And, in my university, they weren't interested in students graduating in 4 years. As far as they were concerned, the longer it took you to graduate, the more money they made. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I'm not the only one. Like, the standard length of time to graduate from my university was 5 years. It's not right. It was a money-making scheme. And a lot of the time, like, the professor would say, all right, we're split up into groups and teach each other. Right? And then I'd end up being the smartest person in my group, and I'd end up having to explain things to my group. And it was clear to me that I was the one teaching the class. Like, I'm paying you all this. I'm going through all these hoops so that I could teach the class. So college was very eye-opening for me, because I realized that they were just preparing me for the real world, where in order to get a job, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of your morals, a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, a lot of your dreams are going to have to be sacrificed in order to get a job where you're going to be making a lot of money for someone else, where they're going to be exploiting you while you work hard, and they give you some money and you feel like, I'm satisfied because now I can afford a mortgage, now I can afford a a car, maybe can afford a little family, but you're working for nickel and dimes, and you've sacrificed your dreams. And so I said, that's it. I've had enough of college. I'm not going anymore. I was less than 1 year away, I was about 8 classes short of graduating, and I said, screw this. I don't want it anymore. And yes, it was disappointing to my parents, of course, and to my friends and family. And they were like, you were so close to graduating. Why on earth didn't you graduate? And how do you explain to them that you understand something that they don't, right? How could I just explained it to you, but you don't really understand it unless you felt it. So it was a disappointment to a lot of the people around me, but it was an eye-opening experience for me, college. And again, I wouldn't change anything. Going to college, if I hadn't gone to college, I wouldn't have made that understanding. I wouldn't have learned that lesson. And I would probably be working in some terrible job right now, making a lot more money than I do, but my dreams are sacrificed. And so that was another experience that really guided me towards this epiphany that I had recently, or more recently. And then I did more traveling, and I've, went to many different places. I went to Peru, and I lived in Peru for a while, and I taught English in a school there. I went to Australia for a year. I lived in Australia, and I tutored some of my cousins there, and did some writing, and kind of just wandering around, right? Without a purpose. I was purposeless. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what to do. I tried different things. I was a professional poker player, or semi-pro poker player for a while. That kind of worked out. It kind of didn't. Working weird jobs that I hated. And so 9/11 happened, and it took, right away I knew something was wrong. But it took about 10 years for me to really figure it out. And that was the catalyst. That was the light switch. Was one day I realized, out of the blue, to me it seemed like out of the blue, that holy cow, our own government killed 5,000 of its people. And that realization was that was the finger moving up the light switch. And that opened up so many doors. Once I understood that, so many different doors opened, and it was like going down the rabbit hole. And I'm still nowhere near the end of this rabbit hole, guys. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper. The more you dig, the deeper you get. And but that was the catalyst, and that opened my eyes, and it made me understand a lot of different things, some of which I've explained in this very series, about the pineal gland, about psychic ability, about understanding your own consciousness and expanding it to a point where you have a greater understanding of the reality around you. So it was overnight, and like I said, I thought it was just random, right? But now that I know what I know, it was not random. It was my guidance, my spiritual guidance that exists on a higher dimensional realm, finally getting through to me. They had been trying to get through my whole life, trying to prepare me to get to that point, and they had finally prepared me enough to get to that point so that they put something in front of me. And I think what it was a series of videos that I'd seen on YouTube that just was overwhelming evidence, just overwhelming. And it's not that I understood it logically that the government had done this, but I knew it in my heart. I knew it was truth. I could feel the truth of it, that our own government did it and killed a lot of its own people to promote their agenda. And from there, I started to learn about psychic ability. I started to learn about the higher realms. I started to learn about changing my diet to help and facilitate that. I started learning about crystals and meditation and shamanic journeying and astral projection. And oh my goodness, it doesn't stop. Tarot. And it just, like I said, the more you dig, the deeper it goes. So this is the sort of thing that you really can't control. All you can do is be accepting of it. And I think that's part of what it was. I think that part of the reason why I was able to make that understanding about 9/11 was because I was ready to hear the truth. And that's what really it comes down to. All those events in my life, all the traveling, all the experiences in college and living in different countries, all of that was just getting me ready to accept the truth. Up until then, I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to know the truth. Maybe I said that I did, But the real truth was I wasn't ready to hear it. And then one day I told myself, yes, I'm ready to hear the truth. Maybe not consciously, maybe it was subconsciously. I said, I want to know the truth. And lo and behold, like, the truth comes like a week later. Like, the truth came, and it was like an epiphany, like an explosion in my mind of the truth. And it's led to so many different truths. And so if you are like me, if you are, going through life, you're not really sure of what you want. You're not really sure of your place in life. You're depressed. I was very depressed for a long time, long time. Like actually like clinically depressed for years. And it was just it was a lack of understanding of my place in the universe. And it stemmed from deep down. I didn't want to know the truth about anything. I wanted to live in this little bubble where things were safe. I know what I know. I'll use my logic brain to figure things out, right? I'm not going to feel things. I want to like analyze things. So it took a shift from ego-based thinking to heart-based thinking. And that has changed my life in ways that I can't imagine. Now I know exactly what my purpose here is on earth. I haven't felt an ounce of depression, not even close, since then. I sleep better. I interact with people better. I have a purpose in life. It's just so different now. And all it took was saying, I'm ready to hear the truth. I want to hear it. I need to hear it. And really feeling that. It's like the truth is something that I need, and feeling that. And if you ask for the truth, if you ask the higher realms for the truth, they will give it to you. It might come slowly. They're only going to give you as much as you can take. But at that point, when that light switch flipped, I was ready to take a lot of it, and it gave it to me. Spirit gave it to me, and I was very happy for that. So from there, if you want to learn about the journey after that, then there's plenty of Creative Question of the Week videos that you can check out. But so yeah, that's how it happens. And if you want it to happen to you, you just got to be open and accepting to new ideas. Realize that things that you've been taught aren't necessarily true, and the actual truth is out there. It's available for you to understand, but it takes going inward. You're not going to find it outward. That's another thing I learned, was that all the information that I wanted about the world was inside of me. It wasn't out in the world. I had to go inward to find it. And that's where I'm at now. And I hope you guys will learn something from that. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, put those in the comment section below. Please be sure to like this video if you did enjoy it, so that I know to keep doing Creative Questions of the Week. We got a little bit of personality there. We got a little personal there. So I hope you guys did enjoy that. And leave a comment for next week's Creative Question of the Week. Put a question down there. All right, guys? So like, share, and subscribe. Happy Minecrafting. Peace.